The night started like any other. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie while watching her in the reflection. My wife. Her hair curled just the way she liked it for formal parties, perfume misting the room with that soft jasmine scent I'd bought her last Christmas. She spun once and asked, "Too much sparkle?" "No," I said, smiling. "You look beautiful." She did. Stunning. Really. The kind of beauty that made people turn their heads twice. And I used to feel proud of that. Tonight, though, there was something different. Her excitement buzzed in a way I couldn't quite place. At the venue, the lights were warm and golden, laughter floating through the air like champagne bubbles. We mingled, smiling through polite conversations, shaking hands, clinking glasses. But she kept looking across the room. At first, I didn't think anything of it. She was social, always had been. But then her hand loosened in mine. Her laugh came a little too loud, a little too often, and it wasn't with me. I followed her gaze, and that's when I saw him. Tall, clean-cut, charcoal blazer, the kind of man who knows his effect on a room. And she kept looking, kept smiling, a private kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. I told myself I was being paranoid. I smiled through the gnawing feeling in my gut. I made small talk, drank slowly, stayed composed. But my heart, it wasn't quiet. It's not like I hadn't noticed the slow shifts at home, the shorter kisses, the longer phone calls, the way she stayed in the shower after we'd argued. But tonight was the first time I couldn't pretend. Her glow wasn't for me. Her laughter wasn't with me. Still, I said nothing. I watched, observed, and in that quiet, something inside me began to detach like a string snapping deep in my chest. I didn't know it yet, but that was the night everything started to unravel. And I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg for her attention. I just held onto my glass and let the silence teach me more than words ever could. The party had swelled around me, music louder, laughter messier, faces glowing under dim chandeliers, and too much wine. I'd lost count of how many people she'd smiled at, how many conversations I'd stood outside of, invisible. But then I noticed something worse. She was gone. I scanned the crowd, pretending to sip my drink while my eyes darted from group to group. No sign of her. Not at the bar. Not on the dance floor. Not near the powder room, either. Then I saw it. A flash of silver on her dress slipping past the curtain near the back patio door. And him, the man in the charcoal blazer, following behind her like they'd done this before. I froze. Not from disbelief. From clarity. It's strange. You imagine betrayal will feel like fire, like heartbreak or rage. But for me, it was cold, like someone had pulled the plug on a warm bath and I was watching the water drain. I walked toward the back, slowly, not enough to be seen, just enough to watch the door swing gently closed behind them. They didn't know I saw. That made it worse. Or maybe better. I could have burst through the door, shouted her name, dragged her back inside, and demanded an explanation. But I didn't. I stood there, one hand clenched round the railing, the other still holding that damn glass like it might anchor me. Let them go, I thought. Let her think it was easy. Let her believe I was too soft, too blind, too weak to notice. Inside, someone tapped my shoulder and laughed about some old memory. I smiled, nodded, made a joke. I even refilled her drink and left it at our table, like nothing had changed. But everything had. The woman I married had walked out the back door, and the man who watched her go wasn't the same one who tied his tie in the mirror 2 hours ago. I didn't drive home with her. I didn't send a text or make a scene. I just laughed, calmly, while the party still sparkled and the music played on. And in the quiet of my car, seatbelt clicking into place, I began to plan. Not to win her back, not to forgive her, but to make sure she never saw me coming again. The car ride home was quiet, almost too quiet. Not the comforting kind you slip into after a long night out. This silence had sharp edges. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, not from rage, but from restraint. Street lights blurred past my window like memories I couldn't stop replaying. Her hand in mine on our wedding day, her sleepy smile in the mornings, the way she once used to look at me like I was her favorite place to land. Had all that really meant nothing to her? I pulled into our driveway, sat there with the engine running, and stared at the porch light she always left on for me. A reflex, I guessed. Like the rest of our life rituals built on the illusion of closeness. I didn't go inside right away. I just sat and thought about every birthday I spent planning, every fight I tried to solve, every sacrifice I made quietly, without keeping score. I thought about how easily she had smiled at him, how effortlessly she walked out that back door, and somewhere between the hum of the engine and the ticking of the dashboard clock, something inside me stopped bleeding. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg her to come home, to explain, to cry. I wasn't going to feed her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. Instead, I'd dismantle everything she took for granted. Not out of spite, but because I deserve more than a half-love, more than polite smiles and backdoor exits, more than a woman who looked through me while laughing with someone else. By the time I finally walked into the house, I knew what I had to do. I stood in the dark for a moment, watching the empty living room, the folded blanket on the couch, the wedding photo still hanging near the hallway. Then I took a deep breath and started gathering everything I needed: bank documents, property records, passwords. The next morning, I'd call a lawyer, not to fight, but to finish. And when she came home tired, guilty, maybe ready to spin another lie, I wouldn't even raise my voice, because some goodbyes don't need to be shouted. Some goodbyes are made with pen strokes, signatures, and silence. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table under the soft hum of the refrigerator, papers spread out in front of me like puzzle pieces. Bank statements, investment accounts, joint assets, things we once built together with love and trust. Now, they were ammunition. At 9:01 a.m., I called the attorney. I want it clean, I said. No drama, no second chances. He didn't need more. I wasn't the first man to sit in that kind of silence. By 9:45, we had a plan. My accounts were frozen, credit cards split. I was advised to change passwords, document everything, and prepared to serve her with papers within 72 hours. I was calm. Too calm, maybe. Around 5 a.m., I heard the key turn in the front door. Her heels clicked faintly across the floor, cautious, almost guilty. She thought I'd be asleep. I stayed in my seat at the table, still in yesterday's shirt. She paused in the hallway, saw me, then smiled weakly. Hair tousled, makeup smeared. "Hey," she said, like she'd just gone out for milk. I didn't say a word. I pushed a manila envelope across the table. She opened it and scanned the first few lines. Her smile fell like glass. "Wait, what is this?" "It's the end," I said simply. "The marriage is over." She blinked, trying to process. "You don't want to talk about this? About us?" I stood. "There's nothing left to talk about." And just like that, I walked past her, past the perfume that once felt like home, past the woman who gave me promises then handed them to another man. I didn't look back. She called after me, her voice cracking. "We can fix this." But I'd already fixed it. By letting it go. By choosing me. And in that moment, with the paperwork signed and her world crumbling in her hands, I realized I hadn't lost anything. She had. She just hadn't figured it out yet.